Pain in the sacroiliac joint persists because the back of your pelvis has never been opened with true containment. While you try to stretch, adjust, or strengthen through the front of the body, the posterior region remains congested, compacted by layers of protection that the nervous system installed like an alarm at the base. This pain is not a structural flaw, it is constant vigilance, a signal that the sacrum has not yet found enough safety to release containment and allow you to move through gestures, rhythms, and loads without entering defense. You are going to discover the portal 9090, a geometry of safety that decongests the divine core and teaches the body to open posteriorly without interpreting this as a threat. There is a simple bodily code capable of allowing the sacrum to settle and the breath to descend without obstacles. But the exact moment when this happens depends on something that will be revealed later. Closing this video now means continuing to live in compensation, supporting everything through tension, while the base remains on alert because it never received the signal that it can trust. Years of treatment never touched the point where pain learns to release, and you are about to discover why. This persistent pain is an alarm at the base, an autonomic mechanism that uses the sacroiliac joint as a point of containment when the core does not find enough internal packing. A sacrum without a reliable axis generates constant bodily vigilance, and the nervous system keeps the pain active to prevent you from moving through gestures, rhythms, and loads that it still interprets as a threat. It is not the bone that failed. It is the body saying that the back of the pelvis never received the signal that it can release without collapsing. In Hermetic traditions, the sacrum was recognized as the sacred bone, the foundation of the temple where inherited memory and future creation meet. When this base is on alert, the entire structure above compensates. The lower back tries to command what the pelvis does not trust. The solar plexus rises, the breath shortens. The vertical temple loses its axis because the root remains in protection mode, waiting for a signal of safety that never arrives. The alarm works like this. When the back becomes congested, the glute becomes rigid like a guard. The lower back takes on functions that do not belong to it, and the breath does not descend because the diaphragm does not find a receptive base below. A small but constant fear then appears, standing up from a chair, bending to pick something up, taking a wider step. This is not conscious fear, it is bodily anticipation, a subliminal block that exists before the movement even happens. Polyvagal theory reveals that autonomic states are not abstract concepts, they are textures in the body. In the sacroiliac region, this shows up as unilateral rigidity, sharp sensations in the glute, a lower back that holds a truncated breath. The nervous system uses pain as language to say that something still needs to be resolved, and that something is not resolved through analysis or force, but through direct experience of safety in the posterior territory that was never opened with true containment. There is someone who lived exactly this pattern, years of pain that always returned, attempts that failed because they never touched the real congestion. This person's story illuminates what has just been revealed and shows the path the body found to exit the alarm. Eleanor is 46 years old and works as a bank service attendant at a busy branch in the suburbs of Sydney. She spends 8 hours a day sitting in a swivel chair that offers no proper lumbar support, alternating between assisting customers at the counter and processing documents on the computer. Her routine was already demanding before the sacroiliac pain began. But when the unilateral sharp sensation appeared 3 years ago, everything became exponentially harder, and she started searching for any solution that promised relief. Eleanor's pain was not constant, it was strategic. It always appeared when she stood up from the chair after an hour of sitting. as if the pelvis needed to reorganize something before allowing her to stand. The sharp sensation in the right glute came with a deep rigidity that traveled up the lower back, and she noticed that the base never fully settled. There was always residual tension, as if the body were on alert even during moments of rest. Carrying groceries became a source of anxiety. Climbing the subway stairs required mental preparation, and she began to avoid movements that had once been automatic. Eleanor tried physical therapy focused on stretching the hip flexors and strengthening the gluteus medius. She went through 6 months of weekly sessions where her leg was pulled forward. The front of the pelvis was worked on, and she was taught bridge and clamshell exercises. The pain eased for a few days, then returned with the same intensity. She went to a chiropractor who adjusted the sacroiliac joint with that familiar cracking sound, but the relief lasted less than a week. No one ever mentioned the back of the pelvis. No one spoke about posterior congestion or about what happens when the sacrum does not find internal packing. The access came through a somatic therapist that Eleanor found after an exhausting search through chronic pain forums. The woman worked with applied polyvagal theory and was trained in autonomic regulation practices. In the first session, she did not touch Eleanor's pelvis at all. She simply asked her to lie on the floor and observe where the breath stopped, where the body held, where there was fear of releasing. When Eleanor mentioned the sharp sensation in the glute and the locking when standing up, the therapist said something that changed everything. The pain is not where you feel it, it is where you never opened. Eleanor learned the portal 90-90 there, in the quiet office, lying on a yoga mat with her back supported on the floor and her knees bent at a right angle. The therapist placed a rolled towel between Eleanor's knees and asked her to exhale longer than she thought was possible, feeling the lateral abdominal containment activate while the gentle pressure on the towel created an internal seal. For the first time in 3 years, Eleanor felt the sacrum settle, not relax, but settle, as if the base had finally found ground. The breath descended without obstacles, and something deep began to give way. The same geometry that reorganized Eleanor's pelvis is about to reorganize yours. The portal 90-90 removes the lower back from command and offers the pelvis a chance to reorganize its axis without struggle. Lie on the floor with your back fully supported, bend your knees, and place your feet at hip width. Lift your legs so that the knees are bent at 90 degrees and the thighs form 90 degrees with the torso, creating a geometry where the base no longer needs to hold and can begin to land. This position deactivates the need for lumbar compensation and creates the condition for the back of the pelvis to finally receive the signal of safety that the alarm has been waiting for. Take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale long through the mouth, longer than you imagine is possible. During the exhale, feel the lateral abdominal containment activate. This is not forced contraction. It is subtle activation that happens when you empty the air completely and allow the ribs to close toward the center. Repeat this breathing cycle 10 times, paying attention to 3 markers that indicate the body is responding. The breath begins to lengthen without effort. You feel that you can exhale more deeply with each cycle. The base lands. There is a real sensation that the sacrum has found ground, as if something that was suspended has finally settled. The pain loses its sense of urgency, even if the sensation is still present. It no longer carries that constant weight of alert. Now take a small towel, roll it so it is firm but not rigid, and place it between your knees while maintaining the same 90-90 geometry. The towel offers a subtle direction of internal rotation of the pelvis. This is not about pushing with force, it is about teaching the body the path back to internal packing. Gently press the towel as you exhale long, and notice how this minimal pressure activates a different kind of lateral containment. The body learns that it can close to feel safe without collapsing. The towel creates an internal seal, a boundary that the nervous system recognizes as a reliable limit, and this changes the threat reading in the posterior region. Continue breathing against the pressure of the towel for 10 more cycles. Feel how the glute that was hardened like a guard begins to soften, not because you relaxed, but because the core found another way to support itself that does not depend on muscular vigilance. The lower back stops trying to command what the pelvis now trusts, and the breath descends into the lower part of the torso without meeting resistance. This is the moment when the body begins to understand that the back can open because there is true containment. There is enough support for the alarm to lose its function. Use the variation without accessories when the body already tolerates resting the base on the ground, and you notice that you can maintain the geometry without holding through the lower back. Use the variation with the towel when the body needs additional direction. When the pelvis still does not know on its own the path back to internal packing, and the pressure between the knees works as a sensory guide. There is no hierarchy between the variations. There is suitability to the autonomic state of your body on that specific day. Some days you will need less support, other days you will need more, and learning to recognize this is part of the process of exiting the alarm. Before moving on to the next variations, there is something essential about Eleanor that you need to know, because what happened to her in the days following the first session illuminates what is beginning to happen in your body now. Eleanor practiced the Portal 90-90 every day for 2 weeks, alternating between the variation without accessories and the variation with the towel according to what her body asked for. In the first week, the sharp sensation in the right glute began to ease. It did not disappear immediately, but it lost that acute tone of urgency that made her avoid movement. In the second week, she noticed that she could stand up from the bank chair without needing mental preparation. The locking was gone and the base settled naturally before she came fully upright. The lower back stopped compensating, the breath returned downward, and for the first time in 3 years, she felt that the sacrum had found a reliable axis. Eleanor understood that the problem was never weakness or misalignment. It was a core that had never received enough safety to open the back without entering defense. Physical therapy tried to stretch the front, the chiropractor adjusted the bone, but no one touched the posterior congestion with true containment. The Portal 90-90 did not fix anything, it simply offered the body the geometry and the breathing it needed to reorganize the internal reading of threat and allow the alarm to be deactivated. What Eleanor felt in the first 2 weeks is exactly what is beginning to happen in your body now. The sacrum is settling, the base is landing, and the back is beginning to open because it has finally found enough containment. Now take a tennis ball or a rubber ball of similar size and place it under the sacrum, just above the coccyx, while maintaining the 90-90 geometry. The ball calls the containment of the core through pressure, returns to the body the sensation of boundary, and activates the internal axis in a way the previous variations could not reach. Breathe against the pressure of the ball, exhale long, and feel the core sealing from the inside. Do not force it, allow the body to organize its response to the support it is receiving. The ball is not there to stretch or mobilize. It is there to teach the nervous system that there is a center capable of supporting without needing to compensate from above. With each exhale, the sacrum gently presses into the ball and the lower abdomen responds with reflexive containment, creating a feedback loop that reorganizes the relationship between base and breath. Stay with this variation for 8 to 10 breathing cycles, noticing how unilateral rigidity begins to soften when the body understands that there is reliable ground underneath. for systems in heightened alert, where trust does not emerge from ideas but from tangible support. Combine the towel between the knees with the ball under the sacrum. This is the variation of maximum safety, where the geometry offers containment across multiple planes and the body can finally release because there is enough boundary, enough pressure, and clear sensory information that collapse will not happen. Breathe 10 long cycles in this configuration, sensing how the back that was never opened begins to decongest because it has found the support the alarm has been waiting for years. The 4 variations form a coherent progression, from the body that already tolerates the geometry without accessories to the body that needs maximum support with towel and ball. All of them teach the same code. The back opens when there is true containment. There is no better or worse variation. There is the variation your body needs in that specific moment to exit the alarm and reorganize its axis. The central practice is complete, and your body now carries new information about how the sacrum settles when the base no longer needs to defend itself. The physical marker that confirms the transformation has happened is traceable now. The breath descends without obstruction into the lower part of the torso. You feel the air reaching places where there used to be blockage. The base lands, not just relaxes, but lands with real weight, as if the sacrum had finally found ground and could trust it. Unilateral reactivity to movement decreases. You notice that you can stand up, bend, and rotate without that anticipation of pain that used to live before the movement happened. These signs are not abstract. They are concrete changes the body registers when the back opens with true containment. To anchor this new state, place the palm of your hand over the sacrum just above the coccyx and exhale for 30 seconds. During the exhale, repeat internally, the base seals, the alarm releases. This signal gesture is discreet and can be done at any time of day, sitting in your work chair, lying down before sleep, standing while waiting for the bus. The micro pressure of the hand combined with the long exhale reactivates the safety circuit that the Portal 9090 installed, and the body remembers that it can release vigilance because true containment has already been found. When you feel a unilateral sharp sensation or locking while standing up in the coming days, lie down in Portal 9090 using the variation your body asks for in that moment. Breathe 10 long cycles, fully exhaling each time, and repeat internally. The back has found safety. This return protocol turns the video into a long-term tool. It is not a practice you do once and forget. It is a code the body carries and can reactivate whenever the alarm tries to return. The seal is complete. Your body now carries an installed capacity, not just a passing experience. And this capacity can be accessed whenever needed because the base has learned where the alarm loses its function. The difference between opening without support and opening with true containment is now installed in your body as a traceable experience. This is not theory, it is a change in how the pelvis responds to movement, how the breath descends, how the sacrum settles when you stand up from a chair or move through a gesture that once carried anticipation. The alarm at the base has begun to deactivate because the core has finally received the signal of safety it had been waiting for years. And this reorganizes not only pain, but the way you inhabit your own center. The Portal 9090 is only the entry point. There is an entire territory of somatic practices, geometries of safety, and autonomic disarming rituals that reorganize deeper layers of the temple you carry. Each practice reveals a different portal in the nervous system. Each geometry teaches the body a new way to release vigilance and recover the trust that the alarm had blocked. What you access today is the beginning of a journey where the body stops being a problem to fix and turns to being sacred territory to inhabit. Peter Levine wrote, Trauma is not in the event, but in the unresolved response of the nervous system, when you offer the body the chance to complete what was left suspended. When the back finally opens with enough containment, what dissolves is not only tension, it is the old pattern that kept the alarm active, waiting for a threat that no longer exists. When the divine core seals, when the sacrum settles, the body recovers its original function as an antenna between earth and creation. This is not symbolic, it is the restoration of the vertical axis where energy flows without blockage, where the base supports without compensating, where the temple once again recognizes that it can trust its own foundation. The source created the body as a portal, and when the portal is obstructed by alarm, everything stagnates. When the portal opens, life returns. If this content resonated with you, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next somatic reorganization practices. Share this video with someone you recognize as living this pattern of persistent sacroiliac joint pain. Someone who has tried everything but never touched the back with true containment. Consider becoming a channel member. Your contribution allows the production of more content with this level of depth and helps reach more people who need this knowledge. Write in the comments, "I open the back of the pelvis and release sacroiliac pain." This statement anchors what has just happened in your body, marks the transformation in the physical world, and creates living testimony for others who will read it and recognize that the path exists. To continue exploring geometries of safety and practices that reorganize the deep structure of your body, click the video that appears on the screen now. The base that lived for decades in vigilance has finally recognized the ground. The alarm lost its function because the sacrum found its axis. And what remains when pain releases is not absence, but presence. The body returns to the state where creation happens without defense, where movement flows without fear, where you finally inhabit the temple that was always yours.